Have you got any guts? Well, if you have, and if they ever get grumpy, there are some really amazing medicinal plants that can help. Let's talk about them. So I'm Dr. Patrick Jones from the HomeGrown Herbalist School of Botanical Medicine, which, by the way, is a fantastic online educational program for people just like you that want to learn about medicinal herbs. But I digress. And by the way, if you're sad that I'm about to stop digressing, just swing by homegrownherbalist.net and you can learn all about the school. So, everybody has a digestive system. And I don't care who you are, there are times when we just have trouble with our innards. And the good news is that it seems like the good Lord, when he was making this world, foresaw that a lot of his kids would eat dumb things and have all kinds of troubles with their intestines and their digestion. And so he made a lot of really remarkable plants that just hit the nail on the head and are fantastically effective for just almost anything you can imagine in the digestive system. So, I want to talk about 5 rock star herbs that I use on digestive cases all the time that might be really good additions for your herbal medicine cabinet. So let's get started. So herb number 1 on our list of rock star digestive herbs is marshmallow, Althea officinalis. And marshmallow is a beautiful plant. Go plant some in your garden. The root's the medicine. The leaf is medicinal too, but the root's best. Use the root. And it really is extraordinarily soothing for mucous membranes, which is exactly the kind of tissue that's lining your whole digestive system from the top to the bottom. And so it's good for almost anything in that system. I mean, you can take the powder of dried marshmallow root and put it on a canker sore on your lip, and it just seals it over like a second skin and heals it and soothes it and makes it feel better. And it's amazing. You can make a tea out of marshmallow root for soothing irritated gums, for a sore throat, for anything further down. You can just take that dry powder and put it in a smoothie. And that's great for belly aches and acid reflux and, colic and diarrhea and constipation and honestly, almost anything. Really one of my first grabs for digestive cases. And in fact, it's in like every digestive formula that I make has marshmallow in it. Really a must-have. So our second herb is chamomile. And chamomile is also one that I use all the time for digestive system issues. There's 2 species. There's German chamomile, which is Matricaria recutita, and there's Roman chamomile, which is Chamomillum nobile. And you can tell them apart by their accent, right? Also, the Roman chamomile talks with her hands more. Mamma mia, bambino, what's the matter? What have you been eating? Nobody, mama fix it, right? And she does. She's a love. And both of them, the German and the Roman, just have an extraordinary ability to calm and soothe and regulate normal bowel function. They're just really, really amazing. The flower's the medicine. And it doesn't matter which one you use. The German's an annual and the Roman's a perennial, but you can plant either one and you'll never have to plant it again. But the flower is what you want. And the flower has, in addition to dozens of other functions and abilities, it has an ability to calm and soothe the nervous system. And particularly, it has a really strong affinity for the nerves of the gastrointestinal system. And so a lot of what happens in our guts is because of agitation and, muscle cramping or muscle hyperactivity. And so chamomile just relaxes all those muscles and says, look, guys, calm down. Have a little nap. You're getting all wound up about nothing. And so, stomach aches, acid reflux, diarrhea, colic, all kinds of things, even hiatal hernias. And it's not going to cure your hiatal hernia. That's a defect in your diaphragm, but it's going to relax the muscles so they quit squishing things that get trapped in there, right? So chamomile is really fantastic for all those kinds of digestive issues. But in addition to that, in addition to calming the nerves that innervate the gut, chamomile also calms all your other nerves. It calms your mind and your brain. And so that's really neat for digestive cases, because a lot of digestive conditions are often related to stress or tension, to emotional stimuli, irritable bowel syndrome, or even just diarrhea or cramping or indigestion. A lot of times, some people, when they have tension or stress or just are really wound up, they're in a really hyperadrenal fight or flight kind of scenario for any reason, it just really shuts down their digestion and agitates and irritates things, and they start having digestive problems. So if the digestive issue in a particular case is in any way related to stress or tension or anything like that, chamomile is even more potent. It's even a better choice. All right, number three. Number three is Angelica seed. Angelica archangelica. And Angelica seed is a really excellent antispasmodic. So what's an antispasmodic? Well, an antispasmodic is a muscle relaxant. It just has a direct action on calming muscles. And that's really great for digestive situations too, especially for diarrhea. Because diarrhea, and I just want to say, I'm so grateful that we know each other well enough that we can talk about diarrhea. It means a lot to me. So anyway, diarrhea is hyperactivity of the gut muscles. They're just going crazy and pumping like crazy and going too fast and too hard for too long. And it inhibits the intestines from doing their job. And what their job is, in large part, is to reabsorb water, reclaim water from the digestive system, and produce a nice, firm, solid poop, right? That's what your guts are supposed to be doing. And if things are moving too fast, if the muscles are hyperactive, if you have hyperactive peristalsis, right? If you're a doctor, that's what you have, right? If you're just a regular person, you just have diarrhea. Anyway, if you have that hyperactivity of those muscles, it makes things go too fast and the water doesn't get reabsorbed and things are not nearly as solid as they ought to be. Okay? And so Angelica seed, just a little handful of the seeds, chew them up and eat them, will shut that down. It's better than any pharmaceutical I've ever tried. It just turns it off and you're done. And it does so by having a direct antispasmodic effect on those muscles. It just says, look, guys, cut it out. Quit contracting like idiots and settle down. We got jobs. We got work to do here. Right? Really great for that. And it's also good for colic and anything crampy or irritable. It's good for IBS. It can be good for ulcerative colitis because it gets kind of crampy and painful. Just really a great herb. All right, time for digestive rockstar herb number 4. Number 4 is catnip, Nepeta cataria. Sometimes they call it cat mint. Sometimes they call other things cat mint. So make sure you're getting Nepeta cataria. It's in the mint family. And like all of the mints, it's just really soothing and supportive of the guts. Really, they're great, all of them. But catnip is particularly good. And one of my favorite uses of catnip is for colicky babies. You can just give them a little bit of the tea. It's very, very safe. Give them a little bit of the tea, and it just calms and relaxes everything and makes those little grumpy guts feel better. Really fantastic for colicky babies. And you don't have to be a baby. It's really fantastic for colicky, grumpy adults, if they've got belly aches or indigestion. It's just really soothing and great for the gut. And it's also good for diarrhea and all kinds of other things. but especially for those kind of colicky, crampy things in the guts. And, honestly, I've been told additionally by a lot of mothers that if they take catnip, their babies are a lot less colicky because it's going through the milk. The chemistry of the herb is being passed through the milk. And what a great delivery system for a medicine for a colicky baby, right? Really, really a great plant, really relaxing. And there's no contraindications really at all, except, well, take that back. Cats who have been using catnip really shouldn't drive cars or operate heavy machinery. That's not safe. They get a little loopy, and those kinds of situations are just going to end in somebody being really embarrassed. So if your cat's been using catnip, he's stoned out of his mind. But if you're a human or a human baby and your brain physiology is different than if you're a cat, perfectly safe, no issues at all. Don't let your baby drive a car either. I'll take that back too. All right. Herb number 5 of our rock star herbs for the digestive system. Drum roll, please. Pumpkin. Cucurbita pepo. The pumpkin. Cucurbita pepo. Isn't that fun to say? Cucurbita pepo. Anyway, pumpkins. Yeah, just regular old pumpkins like you carve up for Halloween. They are a remarkable medicine and a remarkable food. And, it's what I would call a functional food. A lot of the things we use medicinally are specific chemicals. All the plants we've talked about today have specific chemicals that do pharmaceutical kinds of things, right? They have direct actions. But a lot of what pumpkin does, it does just because of the extraordinary food content, the nutrient content that it has. And we have a whole lesson on pumpkins in the HomeGrown and Herbalist School of Botanical Medicine. You'd be astounded at the things that pumpkin does and the problems it can solve. But let's just talk about digestive stuff. So first of all, and this one is sort of a chemical pharmaceutical thing, but there are a lot of research studies that show that pumpkin seed can anesthetize worms, roundworms or tapeworms, and help the body expel them. So it's really a great wormer. And there's also, and this is really exciting, there's some really good research studies that show that pumpkin seeds can't do that. So, wait a minute, what? Well, the problem is that there's a chemical called cucurbitacin, which is also fun to say, that is in pumpkin seeds. But the content, the level of that chemistry in the seeds varies wildly between different varieties of pumpkins. And so if you want to use the seeds for a wormer, you want to get a really old-fashioned heirloom variety of pumpkin. Don't get one of these newfangled hybrids that they've bred all the vitamins and all the medicine out of, right? You want to get an old heirloom variety like Grandma used to eat. And then those seeds are way more likely to have that cucurbitacin in them and do the job. But even if pumpkin didn't have seeds and the seeds weren't medicinal, I don't care. I still love it. It's still one of my favorite herbs for digestive stuff. And one of the reasons for that is that it has really, really high levels of fiber. And it has soluble and insoluble fiber. And we're not going to get into why that's different and who's who and what's what. They're both good for you. All right. And that fiber is something that's really lacking in a lot of the things that we put into our mouths and call food these days. And pumpkin is full of it. And so what? I mean, is fiber medicine? Well, I'll tell you, if you're constipated, heck yeah, fiber's medicine. It gets things moving. And herbalists have a word for that kind of a medicine. They call it an aperient. An aperient is the funky herbalist word for a gentle, bulking laxative. And that's where pumpkin really shines. And like I said, in the HomeGrown Herbalist School, we have a whole lesson, and we talk about all kinds of other things pumpkin does, from cancer prevention to hypertension to diabetes to weight loss. I mean, there's all kinds of things pumpkin does, that we're not going to get into here. But we talk a lot about it in the school. And it pops up all over in other kinds of lessons because it does all kinds of other things for other body systems. But we're talking about, as an aperient, pumpkin's really fantastic. It just gently moves things along, and bulks up the stool so that the guts can do what they're supposed to do. There's other herbs that are good for constipation. Cascara sagrada is one. But that's not an aperient. That's what we would call a purgative or a cathartic. And those are much more intense. I call Cascara sagrada the believer's herb, because if people don't believe in herbal medicine and you give them a little dose of Cascara sagrada, in 5 minutes, they'll believe in herbal medicine. And they'll believe in it all day long. And they won't dare go more than 10 feet away from their bathroom. But that's a little much, right? That's a little intense. And so that's why pumpkin's on my top 5 list and not Cascara sagrada. It has uses, and it's in a few of my formulas. But pumpkin is a much gentler, safer, more natural way to get things moving along. And as an added bonus, that same fiber is the favorite food of the astoundingly critical and beneficial microflora that inhabits your gut, the beneficial bacteria that outnumber us by millions and millions cell per cell. They outnumber us like 10 to 1. Maybe we should feed those guys, right? And so that fiber is their favorite food, and it helps them do all of their important jobs. And we could go on and on about that. We could have a 2-hour video just on all the jobs that the microflora of your guts do. But just as a teaser, they obviously help with digestion, but they also help with your immune system. They help with hormone regulation. They help with neurotransmitter production and balance. I mean, they're insanely beneficial. And so pumpkin is good for them too. And it's got all kinds of other nutritious properties, vitamins and minerals and antioxidants and, carotenoids and, we could go on and on. But just for digestive purposes, that gloriously effective, gentle, bulking laxative function and that beneficial food for your microflora is really what makes pumpkin one of my favorites. So there you go. Those are 5 plants that I use all the time on digestive cases in my veterinary practice and in my naturopath practice. And I just have found those 5 to be really, really rock stars. Now, I picked 5, and I could do 5 more videos on 5 other rock stars for the digestive system. But we're not going to take the time to do that. If you want to learn all kinds of plants that are beneficial for the digestive system, if you want to learn how the digestive system works and how the disease processes that impact the digestive system act on it, have a look at the HomeGrown Herbalist School of Botanical Medicine. You really will get an astounding education on all of the body system and on all of the actions of these amazing plants and how to grow them and how to use them and what they're really doing and what a blessing they can really be. I'm Dr. Patrick Jones from the HomeGrown Herbalist School of Botanical Medicine. Do me a favor, click the like buttons and the subscribe buttons and the share button. Tell some other people about this video so they can learn about these amazing plants. We appreciate your support. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.